Hello, welcome to Business News. Anambra State government is calling on companies quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to channel some of their investments in the southeast state for future benefits. The governor, Mr. Willie Obiano, who visited the Nigerian Stock Exchange, says that the state government is willing to give tax holidays to companies that show interest. Mr. Obiano also notes that some of the budding companies in the state may have to be listed in the future.
Basically, we're interested in the 4 areas: agriculture, trade and commerce, oil and gas, and of course, manufacturing, industrialization, and what have you. You know, these are the kinds of companies we are looking at. Agriculture is critical to us because that's my #1 pillar. Depending on the company, you know, the company can get the tax break of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, as the case may be. You know, max 5 years. You know, and that would be a good incentive. So that they can, you know, recoup some of their investments before paying tax to the state, you know, and it's a win-win situation because they're going to employ mostly the indigenes from Anambra, you know, and you know, who pay tax and what have you, you know, and give them some break before they begin to really pay, you know, corporate taxes and what have you.
The governor of Anambra State, Mr. Willie Obiano. Now, trading on stocks this week ended bearish at the Nigerian capital market. Profit-taking on financial services and consumer goods stocks were pointed out as key reasons for the trend. The all-share index dipped 2.34% week on week to close at 30,705.62, while the market capitalization plunged at the same margin to close at 10.52 trillion naira. The market breadth was negative with 15 advances to 58 decliners, and Evans Medical topped the chart with 22.67% gain. Portland Paint appreciated by 37 kobo. Chemical and allied products ticked 8.83%. On the flip side, UBA shed 77 kobo. Eterna PLC slipped by 14.10%, while Unity Bank declined by 28 kobo. The financial services led the activities chart for this week with 1.14 billion units of shares traded. The conglomerates followed with a turnover of 53.77 million, while the consumer goods segment of the market occupied 3rd place with 42.57 million shares. By the close of trades this week, investors had already exchanged 1.35 billion shares in over 17,000 deals for a value of 12.47 billion naira. For the Nigerian mortgage market to thrive, financial regulators must cut down on the interest rate, and this is coming from the Managing Director of FBN Capital Asset Management, Mr. Michael Oyebola. He says that amendment has become necessary as certain monetary policies surrounding the current investment climate are already discouraging domestic and foreign investment.
I think as you see rates coming down, you will actually find that mortgage rates will come down. The NMRC has been birthed to be able to take mortgages off mortgage companies, reinvest in the capital market. Then you'll find the likes of us investment managers buying some of these instruments and so on and so forth. But we have to plan for the long term. If you keep issuing, I don't know, a 30-year bond at 15%, then you will find that interest rates are possibly going to remain that way. If inflation keeps on rising and interest rates are low, then investors will say, I'm getting negative returns, and they'll start looking for other places. So we really have to sit down and come up with a strategy which over the next 3 to 5 years is going to push down interest rates, fast-track development, and ensure that we have a better country.
Well, that's it on Business News. Thank you for watching. I am Anne Nwawodo-Gimba. We'll be back with the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Gimba. These are the news from the world of sports right now, where Nigeria's Golden Eaglets have relocated from Abuja to Katsina for their close camping ahead of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Chile. Led by head coach Emmanuel Amanike, a team of 35 players and 8 officials departed for the northwestern state to continue preparations for for the cadet tournament. Nigeria will play host Chile, Croatia and the United States in Group A of the competition, which is scheduled for October the 17th to November the 8th. In the English Premier League, Romelu Lukaku struck twice in the first half as Everton beat Southampton at 3-0 in today's lunchtime kickoff. In other matches, Norwich beat Sunderland 3-1 at the Stadium of Light. Ghana forward Andre Ayew scored again to help Swansea, who beat Newcastle United 2-0. Stoke City came from behind to draw 2-2 with Tottenham. Watford and West Brom battled to a goalless draw, while Leicester beat West Ham United by 2-1 at the Bowling Ground. Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho says Sunday's clash against Manchester City, that's tomorrow, will not have a bearing on the outcome of the English Premier League season. Although Mourinho admits to wanting all 3 points at the Etihad, he however believes that winning or losing the game will not determine who tops the table at the end of the season.
I cannot say it's crucial, I cannot say it's decisive, I cannot say it's very, very, very important. But 2 title contenders, 3 points, so if you can get 3 and your opponent 0, it's important. So I'm not going to say that the game is not important, but for sure I don't say that the game decides anything for the winner or anything for the loser.
Tiger Woods has missed the cut for a 3rd successive major for the first time in his career at the storm-delayed PGA Championship. The former world number 1, who failed to advance after 36 holes at the US Open and at last month's British Open, crashed out after carding a 1 over par 73 in the 2nd round at Whistling Straits. Woods has endured a dismal 2015 campaign featuring 4 missed cuts, a withdrawal and just 2 top 25 finishes in 10 starts. Yamaha's Jorge Lorenzo has broken the lap record to take pole position for the Czech MotoGP Grand Prix. The double world champion finished ahead of Marc Marquez and championship leader Valentino Rossi for his 2nd pole of the season. Ducati's Andrea Iannone of Italy set the 4th fastest time on his last qualifying lap ahead of Bradley Smith. Well, that's it on Sports News. Gimba will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
As desperate migrants continue to search for greener pastures, the Italian Navy says that more than 40 migrants have died in an overcrowded boat in the Mediterranean. Many others were saved as the boat was intercepted off the Libyan coast, and rescue efforts are continuing there. Reports say that the deaths were caused by suffocation, as the migrants were held in a confined space below deck. Earlier, European officials say that the plight of migrants, 250,000 of whom have crossed by boat to the continent this year, is beyond urgent. Well, it seems the past is still coming back to haunt Japan, as Emperor Akihito has for the first time expressed deep remorse over his country's role in World War II. He said this at a ceremony to mark 70 years since Japan surrendered. Yesterday, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said that the Japanese service personnel who died had sacrificed their future. But China and South Korea have both accused him of failing to properly atone for Japan's actions. A service was held at the U.S. naval base of Pearl Harbor, where the conflict began in the Pacific. More than 2,000 people were killed in the surprise Japanese attack in 1941, which drew the U.S. into the war.
Japanese Emperor Akihito and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe attended a memorial service to mark the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II on Saturday, along with thousands of war veterans, widows, and their families. During the ceremony, Emperor Akihito expressed deep remorse over the past war.
Looking back at the past, together with deep remorse over the war, I pray that this tragedy of war will not be repeated, and together with the people express my deep condolences for those who fell in battle and in the ravages of war.
Some believe his remark, a departure from his annual script, can be seen as a subtle rebuke of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Abe on Friday expressed utmost grief, but said future generations should not have to keep apologizing for the mistakes of the past, and he offered no fresh apology of his own. However, thousands of South Koreans gathered in central Seoul for an anti-war rally. About 7,000 people attended the rally. Some held signs and chanted slogans like "Stop South Korea U.S. Joint War Exercise," "Stop Japan's exercise of its right of collective self-defense," and "We oppose the military alliance between South Korea, the United States and Japan." In Britain, Queen Elizabeth II and Prime Minister David Cameron joined World War II veterans and former prisoners of war of the Japanese at a remembrance service. After the VJ Day commemoration service held at the Church of St. Martin in the Fields on Trafalgar Square in the heart of London, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh chatted with veterans and former prisoners of war. Now in their 90s, they represent the last of a dwindling band of World War II veterans.
And the main news again. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, has said that the federal government is unwavering on its deadline to serve his chiefs to end insurgency in the northeast, and expressed confidence that the target is achievable. And former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, has called for more prayers by all citizens for the sustenance of peace in Nigeria. And that brings us to the end of the news at 10 tonight. I want to thank you so much indeed for being a part of it. I'm Gimba Omar on behalf of the entire production crew. Good night.